these high-profile incidents, they're often being used to bring attention to police reform that won't necessarily solve the specific issues raised. The legislation proposed by Democrats right now is a literal non-starter. It's precisely what Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, who's spearheading the GOP effort to find a bipartisan solution to police reform, said today. Quote, resurrecting the House Progressives police reform bill is a non-starter. I've been working toward common ground solutions that actually have a shot at passing, solutions to increase funding and training to make sure only the best wear the badge. He's right. We need solutions that increase funding and training, not that strip officers of their basic protections while on the job. We need to approach this without exaggerating and buying into mainstream media narratives that police officers, all of them, are somehow inherently bad. I mentioned these stats the other day. They're worth repeating. According to the Department of Justice's most recent study in 2020, there were 54 million police citizen contacts. That means roughly 21% of adult U.S. residents had interactions with the police in that year. Yet just 2%, according to the DOJ, experienced any threat of force or non-fatal use of force during any police contact in 2020. So 98% of citizen contacts with police did not involve even the threat of force. And only 1% of U.S. residents experienced what they said was some misconduct during their most recent contact with police. Statistically similar between 18 and 20. But remember also, those are largely people who are being arrested and aren't happy about it. Police accountability has never been greater than it is today. But man, you'd never know that watching much of the mainstream media, who continue to tell us how horrible and unaccountable police are. So it's critical we have these discussions, the right ones, with the right people. And one of the most thoughtful people I know about policing in America is Sean Sticks Larkin, retired Tulsa police sergeant, and my co-host of On Patrol Live on the Reels channel. Sean, good to see you.
Good to be here in studio with you.
All right, so let's start with an area where you think that there ought to be reform. Talk to me about an area of policing that you think reform makes sense.
Listen, I would love to see, a nationwide basis of what training should be. Because speaking from my own police department in Tulsa, we have a large agency. We have a lot of funding. We put on our own police academy. We double what the state requires for the amount of training. You take a tiny department in Oklahoma, they just don't get that same amount. So when you stretch that out across the entire country, we have officers that are on all different levels of training. If there was some sort of a national booklet essentially to follow to get everybody
national standards for
national
policing.
standards,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, right.
You get everybody on the same national standard across the country. That is something I think could be a huge help.
I think this National Police Misconduct Registry makes sense, and we were just talking about this, as long as it's not just every allegation that was ever made.
That's
right?
exactly it. Listen, I have no problem if an officer's been disciplined in Tulsa and ends up resigning, or he's been fired from our job and he moves to another state and tries to get another job. That agency should know what this officer did back where he was working at. Now, complaints come in, in this profession. I've had complaints against me that were totally fabricated. It shouldn't be based just on a complaint. It needs to be a sustained complaint rather than something that's exonerated. So if the officer's completely cleared, that shouldn't go into a national database.
See that nuance right there? We're talking about this, and there's a nuance to it. There's a way to do it without necessarily just immediately saying yes or no. Let's talk about no-knock warrants. You and I have talked about this a lot. We both share a concern about them.
Correct. A good friend of mine is here in the city with me right now. He and I have worked together our entire career. We were just discussing, easily we've been on over 1,000 search warrants. I have never been on a no-knock search warrant. I know there are agencies across the country that still do it. I personally do not see a need for it. I don't mean to upset some of my law enforcement friends that are out there that do believe in it. But for me, if the reason for doing the no-knock warrant is for the safety of the officer, I think there's other ways this investigation that you can get into that house or you can get your person in custody.
So look at that.
Personally.
3 solutions right there from a pro-police point of view.
Correct.
Of areas that could be reformed to make policing better. What is the area you're most concerned about that you're hearing people talk about that you think shouldn't be done?
Listen, I know there's some talks about body cams, dash cams, no issues with that, things like that. The bias-based training, that's a given. If any agency isn't already doing that, that racial profiling is bad, they have some serious problems, obviously. The one thing that is an issue is the qualified immunity, because you have men and women that are doing this job out here for $35,000 and $40,000 in some agencies across the country. They are given a power to go out and do something that a regular citizen isn't doing. but yet you don't want to offer them any type of protection while they're doing this job that a regular citizen isn't doing. And it's just, you're going to have people leave this profession. They have to have some form, of protection to do this job. Now, listen, if an officer violates a state law, a civil rights violation, they're opened up to being criminally charged. They're opened up to civil litigation. But to take it completely away from the onset is just a problem.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.